Hello everybody, before we start this video, I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. The camera that I was using for recording this actually ended up dying. We didn't check the battery beforehand, which I'm very sorry about. It's a mistake on our end. But this interview does end up getting cut short, and I'll let you guys know at the end again. But it was still a pretty decently long interview, and I'm really happy with the content of this. And I want to thank Aaron for dealing with the issue, and thank him for coming on, as well as all the other coaches who ended up giving their time at Battlecry to just come on and be interviewed and talk about FRC, which I thought was really cool that I was able to have the opportunity to do this with all those coaches. And this is the last episode that we'll be doing in Battlecry. This was the last interview I was able to do at Battlecry, but I will be going to some more off-season, so hopefully you guys will be able to check out some more coaches there who will be willing to be interviewed and get some more just thoughts on how people play FRC at such a high level. Again, sorry for everything, the cutoff, but thank you guys for watching, and let's start the episode.
Hello everybody, today we are here with Aaron Studham, team 1768, drive coach, Einstein captains this year. Incredible alliance you guys had on Hopper.
Thank you.
And a pretty good run considering that you guys ended up with a lot of issues on Einstein with your third robot, and you still ended up pulling out with a win there.
For sure.
So how have your experiences been on the world's level? Because I mean, it feels like every single year I see 1768, it's like 2022 you guys are good, and then 2023 you just up yourself over.
Yeah.
And then you get better, and you get better. And how do you keep finding a way to keep improving yourself every single year when it feels so easy to be stagnant as a team in first?
Yeah, I think, our on-field success has definitely grown over the last few years. Obviously, this year has been our, best performance in team history. The big thing, especially this season, it's easy to reflect, just we tried to build a simple robot, and everyone wants to build a simple robot. But, the thing we looked at right away was just our resources. So we started the season with probably 9 kids, truthfully. We graduated out a lot of really great kids last year. And so, when the game came out, we kind of said, what are we going to do, right? And you got to do everything. But we don't have, mechanically, it was like, let's try to keep it simple. So the big thing for us and this robot, the success is L2 and 3 are the same angle. And so a lot of teams, I think, kind of get stuck in this trap of doing the high scoring task. But there's only 12 of those, right? And so for us, it was like, we'll be able to do L4. We'll be good enough at it, but let's make sure that L2 and 3 are fast. And I think that was a big thing we learned in 23. That robot, we've built a lot of, so 23 really was like where I would say that we made that turn into like a, competitive team. And 23 was really just a good game for us because we've built tube and tube elevators, right? We built that pink arm. I think we nailed the pink arm. And so that really like made everything easy, right? And so I think part of it is you build these systems. So I've been with Neshoba Robotics for 11 years now, I think, 12 years. And you kind of develop this way of this is just how we do things, right? And so for us, building that success, like the elevator this year, we've built a lot of elevators. As a team, maybe not these specific kids, but as a team, we've understood, how to dial in a lot of those things that, like making it rigid enough, right? Making sure that the bearing blocks are, not allowing too much play, and we're not going to like, things aren't going to shift weirdly. So for us, it's mostly just like years of mechanical things and making sure that we know how to build a robot. The thing that we did this year that maybe we did different that helped a lot was just building it faster. And for us, like getting to go to Chessie Champs in 23 and play with like world-class teams on like a really close level, really shifted how we viewed playing the game. Like you'll see this year, one big thing for us was like in 23, I think Cheesy Poofs really, they slammed into the wall, right? And everybody watched that and was like, oh my God, we got to hit the wall, right? Why even slow down? And so this year coming into this game, it's like, well, we can't stop moving. And so the big thing for us is like when you see us in auto especially, but even in teleop, we try not to stop moving. So the big hopper, right? Like we'll slide through. So that's a big thing with my drive team, right? Is like just the practice of like, a lot of kids want to drive in, hit the wall, then drive away. And for us, it's that rolling thing. And the California teams have done an awesome job of like developing that roll. And so we're just trying to emulate, teams that we look up to.
But I think for the hopper at least, like you guys are the team that does that sweeping motion in my head.
Thank you.
I think that in my opinion, your driver is like top 5 in the world. And like,
thank you.
You said you built your robot early, right?
Yeah.
How much of that do you think came into your driver being as good as they were at just machining?
So funny thing that I don't think most people know is this is his first year driving.
Really?
Yeah, he's a junior, but this is his first year actually competing.
Wow.
Yeah, so he drove last year in the off season, so he had a lot of practice.
Yeah.
We practiced this year more than ever too. But yeah, as a drive team, the one big thing that we learned was that you have to practice like you play.
Yeah.
And I think, it's really easy to just go be static, right? And say, we're going to go from here to here and we're just going to run these cycles, and et cetera. Yeah. But that's not how we play the game. And even for us in practice, it's like, well, let's put the ones on that will be scored in auto. Yeah. Right? And let's play around those. And just developing those reps, right? Like there's no replacement for time with the robot. Yeah. And that was, we didn't necessarily build this robot as early or as fast as we would have liked, but the concept was there, the pieces were there, we got to put it together. Like this robot really got built in about 9 days between week 0 and week 1.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah. I would have liked an extra week with it, truthfully.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, from a drive team perspective, we just try to practice a lot, and the thing, just watching other teams, like 190, obviously we played with them a bunch this year.
Yeah.
We love those guys. Their climber is amazing. And we watched them at the practice field for, no joke, like 2 hours. Just 10 seconds at a time, 10 seconds left, go line up to climb. Go line up to climb, go line up. So, watching that, it's like, well, why don't we do that? And we're really fortunate in Central Mass and in New England to have so many really good teams around us that we can like look at and say, here's what, you can see Open Alliance and you can see what teams are doing, and it's like, well, if we don't try to at least keep up with that, what are we going to do?
Exactly, yeah.
So yeah, it's really for us just like, the thing I've learned sort of in years is it doesn't necessarily matter how we do something as long as we can execute. Yeah. So, we could have built this elevator, it's a continuous elevator. We could have built a cascade elevator. We could have built up a different manipulator. Obviously, you've seen all these different robots. They all play the game. They play the same game with a different mechanism, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But it doesn't matter as long as you can do it well.
Yeah, exactly.
So for us, it was just like, figure out how to do it, build it as quick as we can, and just practice.
Yeah.
So this robot has run hundreds of cycles, probably thousands of cycles at this point, truly.
Yeah.
But, we just try to just time on the carpet, like no replacement. Yeah. And then just, if you're not going to, let me think of how to say that, sorry.
All good.
The thing is, like, if we're not going to be the best at it, then what else can we do?
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't want us to get stuck in that trap of like, well, we can really only do L4. Or we're really, like, my favorite robot this season by a mile is Laker Dreadnoughts. They play L2 and 3 better than probably most teams in the world. Yeah. And that's great. Like, they don't need to be the L4 robot because there will be an L4 robot for you. And I think Madtown nailed that too, right? Because their big thing was like, we're going to be L1s, right? Sort of like recognize that right away. I think it's a little different in New England because you kind of have to be good at everything. Like, we have a slightly different meta than the rest of the world sometimes. But yeah, for us, it was just like trying to not get bogged down in the details. Just like, let's just execute. Yeah. Let's get it running. And then just repeatedly, like, that was our 4-piece auto, right? So like, we came out the gate saying, if we're going to run a 4-piece auto, like, if we're going to do this, this is how we're going to do it, right? We did the path, so we need a big hopper. We're not going to slow down. We got to score quickly, et cetera. So once we built it and we started testing it, we're dialing in the positions. Okay, we got 3. What do we need to do to get to 4? Yeah. And we've run that 4-piece auto in practice hundreds of times. Oh, wow, yeah. Because it's just, that's the only way to do it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there's, like I said, there's just no replacement for time with a robot. Yeah. Like,
of course. Yeah. Yeah. And so, I mean, time with the robot is like, you get so much practice, and then when you put that on the field, it becomes something completely different. And how do you change what you do in like practicing, right? You're just like, okay, let's do these cycles at home, and we're gonna try to replicate it for the field. But when you actually go to the field, it's completely different.
Oh,
right?
for sure.
And what do you do to try to help mitigate that change so it feels like you're just practicing at home, but you're on the field?
So as a drive coach, I like my driver and operator to develop their communication, right? So when we practice, I don't always stand behind the glass because part of it is I want to watch what the robot's doing on the field, and I can say, hey, when went to the reef, we weren't quite close enough, or you were a little too far this way or that way,
sure,
right?
yeah.
And I can, because as a coach behind the glass, you never get that perspective of seeing the robot, right? And it's, you come off your match and it's like, oh, you did this and that. And it's like, well, what we see is different, right? So I try and practice to develop that, like I get to see from the side and kind of gauge where we can improve.
Yeah.
But, you know, like you were saying, going from practice to field, how do we sort of, you know,
Bridge
keep
the
that
barrier,
similar, right?
yeah.
And for me, it's that my drive team is communicating no matter what. So, you know, behind the glass, it's funny because yesterday they told me, well, we don't really need you, which is not true. But, you know, my operator does a lot of coaching. She's essentially a second drive coach, which I think has helped us a lot over the last couple of years of having that second set of eyes to watch the game. You know, we probably do it different than other teams, but she's watching like the RP. Like our big thing from designing this robot from the start was you got to play for RP because if you don't rank, it doesn't matter, right?
Exactly,
like we want to drive the bus. That's you know how we talk about it. And so she's watching the RP count, and I'm watching the flow, right? I'm watching the whole game, and like where's our partners at? What are they doing? You know, and I can run over and say, hey guys, do this thing instead, or hey, we're gonna do that. You know. But yeah, I guess getting back to how do we go from practice to playing on the field is that really it's just, again, just time. You know, and we try to play, you know, when we actually practice, we try to practice on a timer. Like we were talking about watching 190 with 10 seconds to climb. It's like, well, okay, you got 10 seconds left. What are we going to do? We'll just practice time. Okay, reset, practice again. And it's just those reps so that he knows, you know, when he hears a minute left, you know. The other thing I learned this year was just like trying to give them sort of goals rather than going, oh my God, we need 100 points. Say like, hey, you've got time for 2 more cycles. And then in his head, he's like, okay, well, I only need 2 more. Great, no problem. 2 cycles, go do your thing. It's practice is hard. You know, we're very fortunate to have access to the WPI community field. That truly has been the biggest growth for our program. Is being able to go to a field, see real elements, interact with, you know, real elements, and like test things as we need to, run real cycles, you know. And so at this event and last weekend, we've been running backup drivers and rookie drivers, trying to get them trained up. And it's funny to start over on that communication, right? And like they don't necessarily get practice like we do, you know. And so I try to tell them like, hey, you're used to watching this robot run at like an Einstein level, which is crazy to say.
I mean,
you know, but you know, they always want to come out and like go full speed, and it's always funny to like work on that communication and get them to develop like what they're saying to each other, how they talk to each other, you know, and find that flow within, you know, every drive team is different. So the way that, you know, my current drive team communicates is much different than last year's drive team. But we just develop that flow and through time with, you know, each other and what they, you know, the big thing for me is like, what do you need from me as a coach? Like I don't necessarily want to tell them, you know, push the, you know, this button, that button, do that thing. Like, you know how to drive the robot. I'll let you do your thing. I'm just here to guide you, you know? So.
And so when you're talking about like, and you're just guiding them, but you also your operator is a second coach, is there a level of automation that you guys have that allows your operator to be focused on, okay, I'm also looking at the RP count that's up here, and I don't need to focus nearly as much here because I can just flick my eyes up and always be watching. How much automation goes into this robot?
So this year's robot, we started the season with the operator controlling which level to raise the elevator to. And then we quickly learned that it didn't really make any difference for us because he's pushing the button. Like he's got to push the score button. Why not? You know, so in years of developing, like in 23, our operator controlled when to score, right? And it worked for that game. But for this game, I think there's just too many moving parts. Initially it was like, well, we don't want you to have to worry about what level you're pushing a button to. But then through practice and enough time with the robot, it really became automated, and then it was like, so our operator truly only does the climbing routine. So once we're lined up, she raises and lowers the climber. You know, I love the automation because the robot, like, it's funny because here, like I said, with backup drivers and whatnot, like the robot's kind of point and shoot. Gets close to where it needs to go, drives in, hits it, get away. We were just talking before I came out here that, you know, it would be nice to dial in the automation of scoring. So the actual, like, once it gets near, it scores, whether it, like last year's robot, right? You just hit the score button, and once it was within a certain range, it let it rip, right? And like, it would be nice to develop it with this robot. I don't know if we'll quite get there. So,
Yeah.
you know, our big thing is like, let's automate as much as we can.
Yeah.
You know, anything that makes sense. So, the reef, you know, everything there is automated other than our algae. And we probably could with more time. That would be, you know, helpful. But yeah, operator-wise, like, we've had drive teams that had really good communication, and it worked for them to each handle a certain task.
Yeah.
But this year it was easier for the robot to just
just
do what it's
itself.
supposed to do.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and like I said, having that second set of eyes and ears. There's like my favorite moment from last season. URI, I don't remember exactly what Elam's match it was, but so I like to record our match from the driver station. So I have a video so I can hear the audio of what we're saying to each other. So part of our post-match review, not just like looking on the side of the field, but also what are we saying to each other?
Yeah.
You know, and I can say, hey, I told you to do this, and this is what we did.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite moments is there's a match, and like we're watching it develop, and I'm like, oh my gosh, if we can like run an amp cycle, then we'll get an amplified, you know, in the speaker, and we can win this match.
Yeah.
And there's just a moment where my driver and I both call out time at 26 seconds, which is like just such a weird thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, I love that audio clip. We overlaid it of the match, and like, I don't remember how or why, but I think I saw her eyes flick up, and so I flicked mine up, and it's like, okay. And it just felt like we're so in sync as a drive team that like we're calling out like such a random, you know, it's not like a minute left, it's like 26 seconds,
26
who cares?
seconds,
But yeah, we try to, you know, I guess automation too isn't just the robot doing things on its own. It's the drive team is fairly automated, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they know what they need to do. I say, hey, you're going to barge this, you're going to run a super cycle, whatever, and they just know it, and they just run back and forth. And I'm here just to say, like, hey, that thing we thought we were going to do, we're not going to get there, so let's do this other thing. And like, one of our big strengths that we've developed this year is just the ability to pivot and say, okay, what do we need to do instead? And that's a really hard thing to teach, you know, and that really only comes from just time with the robot, you know, and we've played a lot of matches, and so, you know, you hope that everybody develops that eventually, that like they can flip and say, okay, I'm going to do this other thing real fast.
Is that why you guys choose to go to like 3 district events instead of the 2 standard? Is just for more time?
We had a discussion probably earlier in the season, just because our team started fairly small this year. Is it worth doing 3 events? The schedule this year was a little tough in New England. You know, it's tough because we love playing URI. I love that venue. It's awesome. Obviously, WPI, amazing venue. It's 15 minutes away from the school, 20 minutes, something like that. So it's really close. So we want to play here. But we, personally, we play week 0. We've been playing week 1. You know, week 1 is really hard, you know.
Of course,
and having a robot ready, and not just ready, but being able to actually play the game is really hard. But it forces, you know, in my opinion, it forces us into a deadline. Like, we have to be ready for week 0. Right? We have to be ready for week 1. Excuse me. So, week 3, we played, this year we played 1, 3, 4. And we were a little unsure about the back-to-back weekends, but part of it's like, well, it's not going to count for anything. So
why not?
who cares? Let's just do it. I love playing the 3 events. I think not just from a robot on the field perspective, it's more of just a team perspective. Like, it gets the team in the reps, it gets us in the pit, right? It gets us comfortable with working on the robot, the tight turnarounds, all those things. So I think when we started doing it was like, we want more matches. We want to get the robot on the carpet more. Of
course,
But I think as we've developed, and we've done this for years now, that 3rd event is more about getting the team prepared for, and it's really for district champs, right? Like, we want to be, you know, fresh, and we want to, like, we always have to blow the dust off the first few matches. And getting that 3rd event going into district champs really gives us just, like I said, the routine of the drive team is ready, the pit crew is ready, like everybody knows what we're doing. But it is a lot of work, and it's not for everybody. You know, it is strenuous, like making sure we have spare parts ready. You know, it's really hard when you're trying to fix the robot. We've been very fortunate this year that the robot's been awesome, like very few, you know,
breaks,
major repairs or things like that, you know, gave us downtime. But yeah, I love playing that 3rd event. It can be tough scheduling wise, but I just love the extra reps that it gives us as a team.
And so, pivoting over to, I think, the most interesting thing I think you guys did wasn't maybe not just the robot being like an incredible driving machine, but the strategy you guys use at Champs of like just not even just the Algae Steel, which I mean is iconic at this point. Everybody's heard of it. But the idea of having your first pick be a defense Algae only bot that steals. comparing it to literally every other team
Yeah.
or alliance that got to Einstein, probably every other alliance that was at Champs.
Yeah.
Why did you guys choose to go in that direction?
Yeah, so, we don't play floor algae. So that definitely was a discussion immediately. Like, I think on Hopper, more specifically, ton of good coral robots.
Yeah.
Like, really deep field of coral robots, much more limited in algae robots, but specifically floor algae robots. So for us, someone said to me, they're like, are you going to pick a defense as your first robot, the one overall? And it was like, and I said, well, do you want to play against them? And they said, no. And I said, okay, well, there you go.
Yeah.
But, strategically, we obviously had a lot of discussion. Being in the 1 seed, that was actually our first time ever captaining a winning alliance.
Yeah.
We've had a few banners over the years. We've always been picked up by another team and put it together. But, seeding first, and it's like, well, now the pressure is on, and we've never actually won an event as a captain. So, we had a lot of discussion. There's so many good robots on our field. Duncan Dynamics, like, insane coral robot. But then, for us, we're like, well, what's the algae going to be robot? Like, what's your algae ability in the last pick, 24th pick, right? It was very limited. So then we very quickly went to, okay, well, what's our algae robot going to be? There's a handful of really good algae robots on our field that were in the list. Like 9450 is awesome.
Yeah.
Those guys are great. I love that robot. But Strike Force gives you that, ability. They'll play defense and incredibly well.
Oh, of course.
And we had a match against them with Link, and we're like, yeah, we're with Link. This is amazing. Can't wait. And Strike Force bullied us so hard. And that was one that it was like, man, okay, so that's what you're going to go against if you don't have them. So we very quickly, we sat down with the kids and we said, all right, what do we want to do? And we started going over teams, and it very quickly was like, yeah, we need algae.
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's our list of algae robots. Well, we need floor algae. And it's like, well, now you're down to like 4 or 5 robots, So very quickly we centered in on Strike Force, knowing, and then once we started to make that list and say, okay, let's get to what's the 20th through 26th pick looking like?
Yeah.
And for us, that list, truthfully, was like 195, 2877, 6324, and you're like, oh my God, I have 3 New England top 10 robots that are a potential second pick.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And so when you see that and you're like, they're going to have an auto, they're going to hit 3 in auto, they can run 15 to 20 cycles, well, then it's kind of a no-brainer at that point,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
And we knew Strike Force was probably on everybody's list. So then, just the same, if we don't pick them, then BCR picks them, and then you're playing against them.
Yeah, of course.
Right? So, it was a little bit, there's that little bit of pit in your stomach that you're like, are we really going to do this? Is it going to? And then as soon as we decided we were going to pick them and looked at the rest of the list and we talked to them, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Couldn't have put together a better, couldn't ask for a better team to work with. That alliance was phenomenal. Like, we also, again, fortunate enough that we know Lagerbots. We played with them many times.
Yeah.
We trust them. So when we saw, they had a pretty rough day, they had a tough, their robot had some issues. So when we went and talked to them, we said, hey, what's up? And they told us their issues. It's like, look, they're going to be ready. And then Warbots too, they were both very equal in our scouting data.
Yeah.
And so it's like, great, we're getting 2 robots that are super capable. And you saw in Einstein, we had to sub in Warbots because Lagerbots had a weird issue. And Warbots winning, we won that match.
Nice.
It was didn't even matter.
Yeah.
And part of it too was that strategically that gave us, we had to play strategically slightly different because Warbots couldn't play. So the one thing too that 1153 and BCR Bumblebee didn't know or didn't catch on that Lagerbots played the lollipop algae.
Yeah.
And so in the match we lost to them, I think, I don't remember, it may have been the match we played earlier and we still won. Walpole comes over immediately and knocks over that lollipop.
Yeah.
And now it's cost us an algae. So then what you'll see is what we do is we sort of hesitate for a couple seconds to watch. Does 1153 come over or not?
Yeah.
And they don't. I'm like, great, Lagerbots will get that algae, and it gets us an extra algae score, or it gets us 2 in every match.
Yeah.
And Warbots didn't have that, so we had to play slightly different. So you'll see Strike Force pulls back earlier.
Yeah. Give up that algae, yeah.
But yeah, there was definitely it was a little stressful of if we pick Strike Force, you get the algae, but defense. And someone said to us, hey, you're going to need a few more points. And it's like, well, we're never going to set a world high score as this alliance. But you won't either. But yeah, that was an amazing alliance. And Strike Force is truly one of the best teams we've ever played with. I told Corey, their drive coach, we're standing on Einstein, and I'm just trying to absorb the moment.
Yeah.
Right? Because I've been in first for over 20 years, and this is the goal, right?
Yeah, of
Get
course,
to Einstein.
yeah.
And I said, Corey, man, it's like, thank you so much, like, just for everything that you've done for our alliance, the way you've handled this. I'm just a sponge. I just want to absorb this. You know, and he shared a nice little story about what, you know, in their back-to-back championship runs and how he approached those strategies. And like, truly, we have learned so much just from getting to play with Strikeforce about how they operate as a team and how they approach the strategy. Like, we're not bad, you know, but like the depth that they look at the strategy, like their ability to see the Algae steal, and like we knew that they had that in their back pocket, but you could only run it once.
Yeah, exactly.
And so like their ability to look forward and scout the other divisions and say, hey, if we play this alliance, we're going to be able to run this auto.
Yeah.
And like to get to Einstein, like, and be able to actually pull it off was like
that's crazy.
iconic. That was like one of the best moments in first for me, is just knowing it's coming, watching it happen, and like hearing the crowd. I wish everybody could like feel that moment.
Yeah.
That is the end of the episode. That's where we ended up stopped recording. Luckily, I only had one more question prepped, which is the normal outro question that I was going to ask every single participant. So was able to get to that. But so you guys didn't miss on that much. But again, I'm really sorry that it ended up happening this way. Thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for the next videos.